y'all, it's Hope and Crafty Hope here, and welcome. I am working on an art journal spread for Mixed Media Menagerie for August of 2022. This challenge comes from Nicole, Laura, and Aaron, and their special guest artist this month is Kanzi. Now, Mixed Media Menagerie means that these three artists have picked a few items to use as prompts and create an art journal spread. They are working in a very specific art journal that's a mixed media art journal this year, and I don't have that art journal, so I have taken a Dollar Tree little notebook, glued a couple pages together, and then gessoed on top of those pages to kind of cover up some of the lines that were on that notebook. So the three prompts that they are using this month are Florescent, Stapler, and Graffiti. And y'all, I don't know. The graffiti definitely threw me. I thought about it for a while and I decided to just go for it and see what happens. And I think I kind of like what I came up with. The page itself is not completely me, but I kind of like where it took me. So we're going to get to that in a minute. I am starting with some collage to get over that blank page hump. And I was all kinds of excited because I got to pull out some of my other papers that aren't from my scrap box. I had been working for the past 2 months within a couple of scrap boxes for the iCAD. I'll put a link up in the upper right to my iCAD playlist, but I decided to pull out some other random bits. I almost always start a lot of stuff with collage just to get over that blank page and use whatever I have. The pages I ended up pulling out, a lot of them were like jelly prints that I had done for some reason. They were just in a box of some papers. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to use them. It's going to be a chaotic background, and that's fine because it's graffiti and that tends to be kind of chaotic a lot of times. So that's what I'm going for. Now, I had a really hard time getting some of this to stick down with my Oohoo glue stick. I probably should have switched over to some matte gel, but I went for it. It's been real humid here. And I think that's all it was, is the humidity here has made things, I don't know. And it could have been all that gesso I put on that page. So when I was thinking about Florescent, I thought about a couple different products I had that are bright, but most of them have either like reflex or neon or something like that in their like names of their colors. But then I remembered I have this watercolor set that I got at Hobby Lobby, and it has a little row you can see there of fluorescent. They're actually called fluorescent colors. So I thought, hey, I'll use some of those watercolors. And for some reason, I wanted to use bubble wrap to start this off. So I'm using the fluorescent, I think it's red, to put down some bubble wrap texture kind of here on the background on top of all of my collage. And again, to me, graffiti feels very chaotic. It's one of those things that you see like on the side of buildings or train cars or bridges and things like that, very much in an urban setting, which always feels kind of chaotic. So this background feels that kind of chaotic to me. And I have entered my season of splatter apparently with iCAD. That's kind of what I'm calling it right now. So once I got my bubble wrap down, I'm taking the yellow and I'm going to splatter some of that around. And I got it everywhere, y'all. I got it in my glasses. I had to take those off for a minute and get the splatter off my glasses. And then I think I'm going to splatter, I think, some of the blue as well, just because I can't go wrong with blue. And I think I went with for the yellow and blue because there were both yellow and blue in some of those jelly prints that I collaged down. Now, I'm not sure what made me go for the red, but yeah, it worked. I think it's because it would be some kind of a contrast against the other colors that were on there. So I'm splattering that around, and then I'm going to take a quick second and grab my heat tool and just dry this real quick. And once it gets dry, I'm going to add some Stabilo all pencil in black. I knew I wanted something drippy, painty looking besides the splatters, so I decided that I could get the Stabilo to drip. So I'm going to do some like acemic writing, kind of like tags that people put, and those aren't acemic, those are like people's names or whatever their tag names are for graffiti, and that's kind of what I was thinking of when I did this. So I made sure I pulled my journal up so that I had a super saturated brush, and I'm just wetting kind of the bottoms of this. I didn't want to mess up a whole lot of that fake writing there, but I did want to make sure it dripped. So I'm holding it up and down, letting gravity do its thing, kind of banging the journal a little and getting a couple different areas where it might drip. So, and I liked that a lot and decided I wanted it in other colors, but since I don't have a lot of, the only other Cibolo alls that I have are a brown and a white, and I knew those wouldn't work. So I thought maybe I'd try a couple other things, and I tried those off camera and decided that I really like the way this Tombow did it. So I did some more of that kind of scenic writing with the Tombow, and again, using a really wet paintbrush, I'm going to let it drip, and I did it in the blue, and then I'll grab a yellow as well, since those were the two colors I had gone with there. So I'm going to let that drip, and then I'll look over. I did try to add a little splatter there as well with that wet paintbrush. And yeah, so I look at it and I decide, yeah, I'll try some yellow and do that in a spot or two as well. And I'm looking at it for a second, trying to decide where. And so I do it there at the bottom, but something didn't stick. Like I said, I don't know what's up with that. I don't think it's my glue stick. It's either that gesso I put down or the humidity down here. It's been raining for weeks now. It's actually thundering outside as I speak. So, all right. So I'm going to try this again. And then I kind of knew I wanted to maybe do some spray paint, but I don't have any of that really cool artist spray paint that you can spray inside. So I decided to use just a spray ink. This is I think it's a Heidi Swap Color Shine that I thought would work really nicely, and I don't know why I grabbed this butterfly, but when I did, it made me think of those painted on the wall, and graffiti is often painted on walls, those butterfly wings that you see in a lot of touristy like areas where people go, they take their pictures so that they have the butter. It looks like they're wearing the wings. So I thought that would be kind of cool. So I sprayed that, got it everywhere, and that stencil is absolutely saturated. So I'm going to pull it up, and I've got a piece of map that I had over there as one of my papers. Now my spray didn't come through great, but y'all, I'm going to put this down and just use my brayer to kind of roll off some of that ink. I didn't want to waste it, so I thought I'd put it on something else, and I put it down on that map paper that has like a jelly print on it and everything. And as I was cleaning up everything, I took a look at what I had rolled off on that map and decided I really liked that almost better than what I had sprayed on my journal. So I'm going to try what's in my journal real quick and then look at it and then pick up, that map paper and decide I'm going to go ahead and tear this out and use it instead. I'm going to try it super quick. It had just a couple wet spots. And I'm going to just tear it out a little bit and lay it on my art journal. And I'll tell you that looking at both what I had sprayed in my journal and on this map page didn't look quite right from my angle, but I could see in the viewfinder of my camera that it looked really kind of cool. Like that. Look how neat that looks. So I'm going to cut the inside black parts out of that I don't know, that map page one. Y'all, I keep picking up because I was looking at my viewfinder there going, it looks really good on camera. It doesn't look as good to my naked eye. So, yeah. So I cut that out, and then I stopped the camera for a second, and I'm going to go and look through my Tim Holtz paper dolls. Y'all, it is a habit of mine to use the Tim Holtz paper dolls and some kind of fairy wings or butterfly wings and make fairies. Now, that's not what I was going for. Like I said, I was kind of going for the touristy standing in front of the butterfly picture. And I knew I needed to bring stapler in. So I thought, well, I'll just staple this paper doll lady to my wings. So I'm looking at her because she felt like she was blending into the page. But I thought, just go for it. We'll make her stand out somehow. And the little stapler I have I had the hardest time getting her aligned. I thought I was going to go get my big stapler. And I was like, you know what? I don't even know if there's staples in that. And I don't want to run into the other room to get it. So I'm going to make it work with this little one. And yeah, it works. I've got the stapler in here. So, yeah, I'm trying. I do it here and she is like all cattywampus sideways and, No, I put her down and I realized everything's sideways. And I'm like, that is not going to work. So I pull out that one of those staples and then staple her in a couple more places. Now, I really didn't know where exactly I was going to go with this. I did think, I decided here in a minute to go run over to my embroidery floss boxes and look and see if I had anything neon. And I do. I'm going to bring that in here in just a second. Um, I'm going to go ahead and stick her down first. So I grabbed my matte gel medium, and it took me a second to find a brush that I wanted to use in the matte gel because I don't want to ruin all my brushes. So I'll put that down on the back of her, and then I'll weigh her down. And while she's weighing down, I go and look in my, like I said, my embroidery floss box and find that this bright green, like highlighter, fluorescent highlighter green embroidery floss it's from the Dollar Tree, y'all. It is super cheap stuff, so I don't mind how I use it. And I thought it would be really neat to bring these quote chips in, and as soon as I saw this one that says take the scenic route, I was like, that is the one, because it applies in so many ways. For one thing, like I said, those butterfly wings that you see people do, it's often while they're like traveling and touring and all of that, and I thought that would work as well. A lot of times when you're driving through a city, sometimes the most scenic thing you see is the graffiti that's on the trains and on the walls and all of that. So I did use my Stabilo there to give her a little sidewalk to stand on. And I'm going to peel off some of that thick backing of the quote chip just so that this journal doesn't get too thick. And I pull out a little bit of that floss and cut it down. And then I'm going to tear it into some of the individual stick strands. I just kind of do it in half just so that I would have something... I don't know, have more of it and thinner, I guess. And it takes me a minute to do that. Y'all can get to watch me struggle with that for a second. But I knew that would help make that little quote chip pop. So, and y'all look at that. That's fluorescent in there again. And I'm, like I said, I wasn't really completely feeling, this doesn't feel a lot like me, but it's got so many of my elements in it that I kind of love it. So I'm using my matte gel again to stick down my embroidery floss and my little quote chip back, not front, without the back. And it had a really hard time sticking down too. I don't know. I guess it's a bad sticking day. So I'll weigh it down, but while I'm weighing it down, I decide I didn't really have any of the green fluorescent anywhere else on the page, so I'm going to pull out my watercolors again and use the green one in there to do some splatters as well on my page. So I kind of wanted to do it all over I don't know. This is where I realized that wasn't sticking either, so I'm just going to, pull it back up, put some more gel medium down, stick it back down. And I have to say, this lady really tickles me because she looks fairly prim and proper. Like what am I doing here amongst all this craziness? And I really love that it's kind of absurd and awesome. All right, so now I'm going to get that paintbrush again and wet it up with that watercolor and splatter on this page. And then I will be finished. I'll give you a couple looks at it at the end, and I will have the links to Nicole, Laura, Erin, and Kanzi's videos below. I encourage you to go watch them and let me know what you think of what they did for Mixed Media Menagerie for August 2022. All right, thanks so much for coming by and watching. I really appreciate it, and have a beautiful day. Bye.